Welcome. Hello, everyone. Anyone. Welcome to session number 193 of Kevin Reads A Course in Miracles. Okay, today we are going to focus on a short passage. It's 5 paragraphs, but it's a beautiful passage. It's an encouraging passage. All right. It is in, of course, chapter 25. We're still in chapter 25, which is entitled The Justice of God. And this is section 4, Roman numeral 4, IV. And it is entitled The Light You Bring. Now, once again, remember when Jesus is talking to you, he's talking to that decision-making part of your mind. Right? He's not talking to your ego. Okay? So, as I say, this could be a short one, but you never know. Best laid plans of mice and men. Gang after gley, as they say in Scotland at one time. Gang after gley. The light you bring. Minds that are joined and recognize they are can feel no guilt. For they cannot attack, and they rejoice that this is so, seeing their safety is this happy fact. Their joy is in the innocence they see, and thus they seek for it, because it is their purpose to behold it and rejoice. Everyone seeks for what will bring him joy, as he defines it. It is not the aim as such that varies. Yet it is the way in which the aim is seen that makes the choice of means inevitable and beyond the hope of change unless the aim is changed. And then the means are chosen once again, as what will bring rejoicing is defined another way and sought for differently. So minds that are joined and recognize they feel no guilt. Minds that are joined. When we entertained the tiny mad idea, perhaps I could be separate. As the mythology of the Course goes, the mind split. Right? That choice had to be made. Right? Do I want to go with the thought of separation or return to the oneness, the innocence? Some part of the mind was making a decision, okay? The you that Jesus talks to us about. All right. So minds that are joined are minds that have chosen to join with the Holy Spirit, the memory of who you are, okay? And the mind is therefore not split in that moment. It's just not split anymore. You're joined with the right mind. Okay? And from there, you see things differently. You can feel no guilt once the mind is joined. Right? We join with the memory of who we are, the Holy Spirit. Right? And in our experience, it's a process that continues to grow as we reinforce it by joining more and more with the memory of who we are, the Holy Spirit, and asking for clarity. Help me to see correctly. All right, I just want clarity. I want truth. All right, so he says, minds that are joined and recognize that they are can feel no guilt. So when you know that your mind is joined with who you really are, there is no guilt because there's no separation. All right, it's gone. could feel no guilt, for they cannot attack, right? Because there's no other. There's nothing to be defended, right? There's no other that's going to threaten me. So they cannot attack, and they rejoice. They're happy that this is so. You can't attack. They're happy because they're in the oneness. Right? Seeing their safety as this happy fact. There's no more vulnerability. There's no more guilt. There's no more vulnerability. It's a cause for happiness. Okay? Their joy is in the innocence they see. Right? And once the mind is joined, once I join with the right mind, the memory of who I am, I begin to see innocence everywhere. Right? The joy is in the innocence they see, and thus they seek for it, because it is their purpose to behold it and rejoice. Right? So my purpose now becomes seeing that innocence everywhere, in everything. Because it's my purpose now to behold the innocence and to rejoice in it. Everyone seeks for what will bring him joy as he defines it. All right? Just think about that for a moment and realize that's true. I will seek for something that will bring me joy. Everyone seeks for what will bring him joy as he defines it. My joy might not be the same as yours. All right? You know, I like ice cream. You might like coffee. Okay? Everybody looks for joy in that, as he defines it. It is not the aim as such that varies, yet it is the way in which the aim is seen that makes the choice of means inevitable, and beyond the hope of change unless the aim is changed. All right, so what will bring me joy? Something of the ego or something of spirit? Okay? Sure, in the ego, the ice cream, I think, will bring me joy until I realize, oh, I've ingested too much joy. All right? Now my cholesterol is bad, my weight is up, my sugar level is raised. Okay? So, but the ice cream was joy as I defined it at that point. So I'm looking within the ego thought system for joy. All right? Yet it is the way in which the aim is seen that makes the choice of means inevitable. And beyond the hope of change unless the aim is changed. All right? So what am I aiming for? Am I aiming for return to the oneness, return to the innocence, or the return to the chaos of separation? All right? And then the means are chosen once again. So I will sit in the memory of who I am. I choose to be returned to the oneness. And then I have an urge for some ice cream. I'll have the ice cream, but there'll be a different goal in mind. It's no longer, because eventually that, in the ego thought system, that joy will bring me pain, guilt, suffering. All right? So I guess ice cream was a terrible example, but if I'm right-minded, to have the ice cream, you just won't eat enough of it to make yourself sick and guilty. All right, you'll have have your little ice cream there. Enjoy it. All right, and don't think it's going to bring you the love of God, the joy of heaven. Okay, everything in moderation. All right, then the means are chosen once again, as what will bring rejoicing is defined another way and sought for differently. So what will bring rejoicing is now defined a different way. It's no longer the ice cream, whatever is in the ego thought system. All right, money, sex, jobs, cars, houses, whatever. Okay. So what will bring rejoicing is defined another way. What will bring rejoicing is the rising of peace in my mind, allowing peace to rise up in my mind. And that's done by joining with Holy Spirit, right mind, all these things that we put into words here. Right. And then the means are chosen once again, as what will bring rejoicing is defined another way and sought for differently. It's cool to have jobs, cars, sex, money, houses, okay. But you get to, because you're living in this human condition. The thing is to don't make it the end all and be all of everything. This is not what's going to make me happy. This will make me extremely happy. This will be it. I've made it, right? I made $1 million in the stock market. I've made it, right? So now what brings you joy is different. All right? What brings us joy is peace of mind. All right? And the means are chosen once again. The means of getting to that point of peace of mind is joining with Holy Spirit, joining with Jesus, the embodiment of the Holy Spirit, and asking for clarity. Help me to see this correctly. All right? Help me to see my striving for success in the stock market. Help me to see that correctly. Help me to see my relationships correctly. Everything. You bring everything now with that goal of having peace of mind. Because that's where the joy comes from. Paragraph 2. Perception's basic law could thus be said: you will rejoice at what you see because you see it to rejoice. And while you think that suffering and sin will bring you joy, so long will they be there for you to see. Nothing is harmful or beneficent apart from what you wish. It is your wish that makes it what it is in its effects on you. Because you chose it as a means to gain these same effects, believing them to be the bringers of rejoicing of joy, even in heaven does this law obtain. The Son of God creates to bring him joy. Sharing his Father's purpose is in his own creation, that his joy might be increased and God's along with his. All right. So perception arises when we believe we're separated from God. There is no perception in heaven, in reality. All right? You don't need it. There is no other. There's only the oneness. When we project into duality, now there's perception. And he says, in perception's basic law could be stated this way: you will rejoice at what you see because you see it to rejoice. So you will rejoice in your separation, right? Because that's what you were looking for, to rejoice. That's what you were looking for. Right? You will rejoice at what you see because you see it to rejoice. You see your individuality and you rejoice in it. And we spend lifetimes proving that we're separated. Right? And while you think that suffering and sin will bring you joy, so long will they be there for you to see. Now, when Jesus talks about suffering and sin, he's talking about the condition in which we find ourselves, right? The condition of separation. It brings suffering and sin. At one point, Jesus describes us as wandering this earth, uncertain, lonely, and in constant fear. Okay? Because we believe we're separated. That's a pretty concise description of suffering and sin. And we think that that's what's going to bring us joy. This separation, this individuality is going to bring us joy. And so, so long as you want it, so long will they be there for you to see. And while you think that it will bring you joy, nothing is harmful or beneficent apart from what you wish. Every time I read this, I think of the brilliance of Julius Shakespeare, 400 years ago, saying, paraphrasing, of course, nothing good or bad, but thinking makes it so. Okay. He says, nothing is harmful, nothing is bad, or beneficent good, apart from what you wish, apart from what you want. Do you want separation? Do you want to return to the oneness? Do you want to remember the oneness? All right. So thinking makes it so. All right. It is your wish that makes it what it is and its effects on you. So whatever it is my wish. All right. Do I wish to be separate from God? Then everything I see will have an effect on me, filtered through that wish, right? Reflecting that wish. It is your wish that makes it what it is in its effects on you. Right? If it is my wish that peace of mind rise up, that I become aware of the truth, if it is my wish to rejoin the memory of who I am, then everything I see will reflect that to me. Right? It will make it what it is and its effects on you. Because you chose it as a means to gain these same effects. Right? He's showing us how these choices work. It says, you chose these things to give you the effects, to reinforce your idea, to reinforce your decision, right? To reinforce your belief. Right? He says you chose these things to prove it to yourself that you're separated from God. Right? Or these very same things can reflect your communion with God, if that was your choice. To be rejoined with God, to remember that you never left God, to put it that way. Right? Because you chose it as a means to gain these same effects, believing them to bring bringers of rejoicing and of joy. And he says, even in heaven, this works. This works out like this. All right? The Son of God creates, extends, just as the Father does, extends everything, everywhere. All right? Extends love, for lack of a better word, the oneness, the innocence. All right? So the Son extends that to bring himself joy, because that's what God did. God extended, or that's what God does. I don't know, there's no past tense there. All right, so God does, extends to bring joy. All right? And the Son of God creates to bring him joy, bring himself joy, sharing his Father's purpose in his own creation, all right, that his joy might be increased and God's along with his. All right, so that in heaven we create so that everyone's joy is increased. Isn't this innocence wonderful? Wow, let's increase it. All right? So this is the same thing works out in heaven that way. But in the ego system, you know, we experience things that we think are going to bring us joy. We think that our separation is going to bring us joy. So everything we see eventually is the effect of believing in separation. All right? And he says, and it's there because you want to prove that to yourself. It's there because you want it. All right? All right. Paragraph 3. And he gives us a big title here. He goes, you maker of the world that is not so. Right. That's our decision maker aligned with the ego. He says, you're a maker of the world who is not so. He says, take rest and comfort in another world where peace abides. This world you bring with you to all the weary eyes and tired hearts that look on sin and beat its sad refrain. From you can come their rest. From you can rise a world they will rejoice to look upon, and where their hearts are glad. In you there is a vision that extends to all of them and covers them in gentleness and light. And in this widening world of light, the darkness that they thought was there is pushed away, until it is but distant shadows, far away, not long to be remembered, as the sun shines them to nothingness. And all their evil thoughts and sinful hopes, their dreams of guilt and merciless revenge, and every wish to hurt and kill and die, will disappear before the sun you bring. All right? He's telling you this is who you are. This is your potential at this point. All right? He says, you maker of the world that is not so. All right? Take rest and comfort in another world where peace abides. All right? He says, you maker of this world that doesn't even exist. Right? He says, take comfort that there is another world. Right? There is another place where peace exists, where peace abides. All right? And he says, this world you bring with you. So when we connect to our right mind, when we join the right mind, we join Jesus, Holy Spirit, all right, and ask for clarity. When we join that, right, you have the ability to bring this light, right? This world you bring with you, right? When your mind is joined, this world you bring with you where peace abides. the world you bring with you, this world you bring with you to all weary eyes and tired hearts that look on sin and beat its sad refrain. All right, to all the weary people, all the weary souls, all right, who are just caught up in this idea of separation. All right, and they beat its sad refrain. He says, from you can come their rest. So from you can give rest to all these weary people. From you can rise a world that will rejoice, that they will rejoice to look upon, and where their hearts are glad. And all we need to do is join with the Holy Spirit, is to go to the right mind and ask for clarity, ask for that peace of mind. Right? And we can bring that peace with us. Okay? And from you can come their rest. From you can rise a world they will rejoice to look upon, and where their hearts are glad. In you there is a vision that extends to all of them and covers them in gentleness and light. Right. So in you there is a vision, right, that calls to all of them. It extends to all of them. Right. This vision of the oneness, this vision of peace, this vision of the face of Christ, innocence, right? This vision of innocence can extend to all of them, right? And cover them in gentleness and light, right? Give them some respite, right? And in this widening world of light, the darkness that they thought was there is pushed away, right? Because everything is in the mind, and the mind is actually one mind. So we join with that part of the mind that remembers who we are, right? And that light goes out to the rest of the mind. That's the parts of the mind that still believe it's separated and engaged in this weary world, right? Engaged in such chaos and striving and suffering. And that light can go out into their mind, right? And this vision extends to all of them, right? And in this widening world of light, the darkness that they thought was there is pushed away until it is but distant shadows far away, not long to be remembered, as the sun shines them to nothingness. Right? So this vision of innocence, this vision of forgiveness, right, can bring this lightening, the lightening of the load, so to speak. It can bring the light to the mind where darkness was thought to be the prevalent condition. Right. The light of darkness that they thought was there is pushed away, and all their evil thoughts and sinful hopes, their dreams of guilt and merciless revenge, and every wish to hurt and kill and die will disappear before the sun you bring. Right? Once that awareness of the innocence, right, that vision of innocence is in the mind, we bring it with us, and it touches what seems like individual minds, right? But it's the one mind, and it begins the process of pushing that darkness further and further toward the horizon till it disappears. And then all their evil thoughts will disappear. All their thoughts of separation, and then all their means of protecting themselves, trying to get what they think they need, will all disappear before the sun that you bring, before the light of innocence that you bring, right? That light of innocence that reminds them you never separated from God. There's no need to run and hide. There's no need to hunt and gather. There's no need to defend and attack. Right? And you are an instrument of that. I always think of the prayer of St. Anthony, or, pardon me, St. Francis. All right. Lord, make me an instrument of thy peace. All right. Same thing, make me a channel of your peace. Let it come through me. All right. To sow love where there's hatred. To sow comfort where there's fear. Okay. It's a wonderful job. And he says in paragraph 4, would you not do this for the love of God and for yourself? For think what it would do for you. Your evil thoughts that haunt you now will seem increasingly remote and far away from you. And they go farther and farther off because the sun in you has risen, that they may be pushed away before the light. They linger for a little while, in twisted forms too far away for recognition, and are gone forever. And in the sunlight you will stand in quiet, in innocence, and wholly unafraid. And from you will the rest you found extend, so that your peace can never fall away and leave you homeless. Those who offer peace to everyone have found a home in heaven the world cannot destroy. For it is large enough to hold the world within its peace. Right? He says, wouldn't you want to be this beacon of peace and innocence and light? He says, wouldn't you want to do that for the love of God and for yourself? Right? He says, think what it would do for you. He says, all your evil thoughts, in quotes, your evil thoughts that haunt you now will seem increasingly remote and far away from you. Okay. All right, all those terrible thoughts that we have, thoughts of guilt, thoughts of anger, thoughts of fear, right? He says they will become increasingly remote when we go to the right mind and with the desire for clarity. They'll just go far away from you. And they go farther and farther off because the sun in you has risen that they may be pushed away before the light. Some of us are, tormented by thought, tormented by things of the past and tormented by fears of the future. All right? He says these things will be pushed further and further away from you as you sit in the light. right? As you sit in the right mind, as you sit with Jesus and Holy Spirit and ask for the truth, ask for clarity, right? You invite the peace. Right? And some of these thoughts, he says, they linger for a little while. Right? They linger for a little while, in twisted forms too far away for recognition, and are gone forever. Right? Sometimes these thoughts from the past come knocking back in. He says, so they're lingering. He says, but just for a little while, because you know that you can return to the light and push them further away. You can get clarity until they're gone forever. I remember talking with Dr. Wapnick one morning as I was heading toward the class and from one building, and I was crossing the parking lot, and he was going in the same direction. And I told him the thoughts that were on my mind, what was bothering me. He said, well, now that it's up, now that you're aware of the thought, he says, it's time to let it go. All right? And what he meant by that was that process of bringing it into the right mind and asking for clarity. All right? Help me to see it correctly. I don't want to see it anymore as a source of guilt, a source of shame, a source of fear. I want to let all those things go. All right? And Dr. Wapner says, well, now you're aware of the thoughts. Bring them to Jesus, have them clarified. And the light that rises in you will push them away. The sun that rises in you will push them away, poetically. I always think of the process. I like to use the example of the movie about the mathematician, right? About the mind, where a beautiful mind. I'm getting far away from my brain now. Right, he's just received the Nobel Prize after years of torment, of hallucination, all kinds of mental illness. He receives the Nobel Prize, and on his way out, he's walking with his wife, and he looks over to his right, and he sees the three major hallucinations that constantly tormented him, waylaid him. Right? But he just sees, and they lingered for a while, a little while, but he didn't engage in it, and just walked on by. All right? It's like when it's those thoughts of guilt and shame and fear, and they take a form and they reappear in our thoughts. That's the time to come to the right mind. Help me to see these things correctly. All right? I need the clarity. I want the sun to rise in my mind. I want the peace to rise in my mind. All right? I want to let those thoughts get pushed off to the horizon. All right? And let the sun rise in my mind so that I may be a channel of peace. Okay? And I don't need to do anything to be that channel. If I need to go somewhere, I'll get a big idea. Oh, you need to go here. If you need to say something, then all of a sudden you have the words. Right? There's nothing you have to do to be that channel of peace. Right? Except go to the right mind and be willing to be shown. Be willing to be shown the truth. All right? And paragraph 4, sentence 7, and in the sunlight you will stand in quiet, in innocence, and wholly unafraid. All right? No need to expound on that. All right? In that joining with the Holy Spirit, all right? You'll be totally unafraid. All right? You'll stand in the quiet and the innocence. All right? And from you will the rest you found, from you will that peace and comfort extend, so that your peace can never fall away and leave you homeless. Right? It will get stronger and stronger. The more you desire it, the more you desire that clarity, the truth, and it will never leave you homeless. And he says in 9, those who offer peace to everyone have found a home in heaven the world cannot destroy. Right? Doesn't matter what goes on in the world. Right? You will have found a home in heaven. Even if your form is still here for a while, as Jesus refers to the real world. Right? You will know that there is nothing that can destroy you. You have found your home in heaven. All right? A world, something that the world cannot destroy. Right? Because that home that you have found in heaven is large enough to hold the world within it, to hold the world within its peace. Right? The entire universe can be held within that peaceful home that you have found in heaven. And let the chaos disappear. All right? This is the light that you bring. This is your potential, and this is who you really are. Okay? Paragraph 5. In you is all of heaven. Every leaf that falls is given life in you. Each bird that ever sang will sing again in you. And every flower that ever bloomed has saved its perfume and its loveliness for you. What aim can supersede the will of God and of his Son, that heaven be restored to him for whom it was created as his only home? Right? Nothing before and nothing after it. No other place, no other state nor time. Nothing beyond nor nearer. Nothing else in any form. This can you bring to all the world, and all the thoughts that entered it and were mistaken for a little while. How better could your own mistakes be brought to truth than by your willingness to bring the light of heaven with you as you walk beyond the world of darkness into light? Right? It's just profoundly beautiful. Profoundly beautiful. Describing you. Right? Just notice if your first reaction is to put your head down and say, that's not me. He's telling you, in you is all of heaven. All right? And everything you see is given life in you. Every leaf that falls is given life in you, and each bird that ever sang will sing again in you. All right? While we're here in form, you will see everything differently. Right? With that foundation of that awareness of peace and innocence, you will see everything differently. Each bird that ever sang will sing again in you. And every flower that ever bloomed has saved its perfume and its loveliness for you. That's how you will see everything. Right? He says, what aim can supersede the will of God and of his Son? All right. You know, what goal, what function could supersede the will of God and of his Son to see the innocents everywhere? He says, what aim can supersede the will of God and of his Son, that heaven be restored to him, for whom it was created, as his only home? So he says, what else would you want? What else could supersede that? That heaven be restored to you, the awareness of who you are be restored to you. That heaven was created as his only home. Nothing before it, nothing after it. Right? Heaven, no other place, no other state nor time. Nothing beyond nor nearer. Nothing else in any form. Right? This state of heaven was created for you. And we extend it. He says, there is nothing else. There is nothing else. Nothing beyond nor nearer. Nothing else in any form. Paragraph 5, sentence 11. This can you bring to all the world. And all the thoughts that entered it and were mistaken for a little while. All right. So this is what you bring everywhere. This awareness of who you are, your innocence. He says you bring that. And all the thoughts that entered it and were mistaken for a while. How better could your own mistakes be brought to truth than by your willingness to bring the light of heaven with you as you walk beyond the world of darkness into light. As we walk within this dream, right, we're walking beyond this world and into light. When we are joined, when we join our mind with the right mind, when we join with the memory of who we are, we bring that light with us. Everything reflects that light to us. It grows stronger and stronger. Right. As we walk beyond the world of darkness and into the light. Right. We bring that light of heaven with us. This is the light you bring. Right. This is not a fairy tale. This is not an illusion. This light is what is real. This light, at one point Jesus says, is still potential. Right? It's always there. But we have to ask for it to rise up in our awareness. Okay? And this is the light you bring to this weary world. Okay. All righty then. All right. Okay. I will see you in the next session. All right. Bye now.